Good morning, Honorable Minister, Mr. Director General, His Excellency Ambassador Cheng Xinjiang, Mr. Guru, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a very special day for UNIDO. We have a very special guest, but this year, 2015, has been declared the International Year of Food Safety. It is in this context that the Vienna Food Safety Forum is taking place, and we are doing this in close collaboration with CFDA. This event can also be considered a follow-up to the International Conference on Food Safety held in June 2015 in Beijing, also organized in close collaboration with CFDA and other partners. From a merely UNIDO internal point of view, this is a collaboration between trade capacity building and agri-development branch. We appreciate the strong commitment of our partner organizations such as WHO, FAO, World Bank, GFSI, FIA, and private companies that are present here today. A special thanks goes to CFDA, the China Food and Drug Administration. We would like to thank all speakers, moderators, and panelists of today. Many of you traveled from far, and I hope you have and find some time to enjoy Vienna. On the forum, this event gives us the opportunity to discuss food safety, governance, risk management, and very important, the need to engage the private sector in successful partnerships. The challenges in assuring food safety are multiple, starting from the environment, polluted water or soil, to the hygiene while storing, processing, and preparing food, or other types of contamination. The approach to tackling these challenges is a global one that requires the engagement of every link in the value chain. Today, we are especially grateful to have representatives of all stakeholder groups present here, and we are looking forward to a fruitful discussion and how to ensure food safety from farm to plate, as the slogan says, but eventually from farm to home, to plate, to fork. We have many slogans. So I wish you a very good start. And before that, just to recall, we have interpretation English, Chinese. Chinese will be on channel 2, English on channel 3. On our today's agenda, we will have a welcoming address by Director General, the keynote speech by His Excellency Mr. Bi Jingguang, Minister of the CFDA, and an opening statement by the Chairman of the GFSI, Mr. Cheng Guru. Unfortunately, Minister Oberhauser from the Ministry of Health of Austria, due to a conflicting appointment, will not be able to join us today. We will then have 3 thematic sessions. International food safety governance is the first session, and we will have a lunch break from 12 to 1:30, and then we will have a very specific discussion on the dairy and managing dairy sector and managing risk in the dairy sector. Finally, I'm very looking forward for this panel discussion on engaging industry in food safety capacity building. At the end of the day, we have a networking coffee or a reception. It's a bit early for a reception at 4:30, but we thought it's very important to give you the opportunity to exchange. Let us start with the welcome address of our Director General. I don't think that Mr. Li Yong needs to be introduced. For those who are not so well acquainted with UNIDO, I would like just to mention that Mr. Li Yong has successfully advocated for inclusive and sustainable industrial development, ISID, which found its way into the new Sustainable Development Goals. The Director General has been working strongly towards building partnerships for development. Director General, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bernardo, for this very well organization of this forum. Your Excellencies, Mr. Beijing Chen, the Minister of China Food and Drug Administration, Your Excellency, Mr. Chen Jingye, the Ambassador Permanent Representative of PR China to the United Nations, Mr. Zheng Guo, the Chairman, the Global Food Safety Initiative, distinguished colleagues and the representatives of Food and Agriculture Organization and World Health Organization and the World Bank, distinguished representatives of international regulatory bodies, and delegates from private sector associations and companies. Dear panelists, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great honor for me to welcome you all at this 2015 Vienna Food Safety Forum, to have my organization, UNIDO, as a co-organizing this important event in partnership with the CFDA, the Chinese Food and Drug Administration. Food safety is a global public good. It is fundamental to the health and the well-being of individuals and families, and to the public health of nations, all nations. It is also necessary to enable trade in food products among economies, trade which results in great prosperity for all regions of the world. With food supply chains stretching around the world, food safety issues have an impact on developing and developed countries alike. The complexity and the magnitude of global food safety issue have made all of us, everyone, recognize that overcoming these issues requires a multi-player response, including government, business sector, international organizations, and civil society. The food safety has also strong impact on inclusive and sustainable development, and has a particular contribution to make to the Sustainable Development Goals. The UN and the international community will officially endorse at the end of this month during the 70th General Assembly proceedings. It is for all these reasons that I have decided to hold the Vienna Food Safety Forum. I want this forum to be a convening platform for the exchange of global best practices, experiences, and the local expertise along the full value chain of industrial development. The Vienna Food Safety Forum is meant to convene a diversity of actors for knowledge sharing and mutual learning. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, UNIDO is organizing this very first Vienna Food Safety Forum in partnership with the Chinese Food and Drug Administration. This is a reason China's experiences exemplify the complexity of the food safety challenges and a successful proactive approach by authorities and the private sector to address the critical issues of the human health through an integrated approach of an improved production system. And China's government has implemented major measures such as strengthening supervision and law enforcement, improvement of food safety standards, and public awareness arising. The creation of CFDA as a unified single agency to oversee the food safety national network framework is a key milestone. As a co-organizer of this forum, CFDA will share with all of us some of its experiences and lessons learned on both food safety related challenges and the ways to overcome them. UNIDO and the CFDA are not only partnering for this forum, but also launching a technical cooperation project To further strengthen CFDA's technical capacities, our two organizations have just exchanged the signed project document. UNIDO has a long track record in food safety related to capacity building along the entire food processing value chain. We assist agro-processors to upgrade their processes to meet the relevant food safety standards. We also support the strengthening of the national quality infrastructure, such as standards bodies, regulatory authorities, and conformity assessment services. Testing, inspection, or certification services are needed to verify that products are safe for human consumption. As a country and a regional level, UNIDO has supported countries such as Bangladesh, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, and Pakistan to overcome export bans for their food products in the European Union and the United States and other regulated markets. At a global level, UNIDO has been actively involved as a member and a key partner of global food safety initiatives, food safety capacity building programs, and a project have been implemented over the past 6 years in countries such as Egypt, India. I saw the India representatives also here. Welcome. Malaysia, Ukraine, in partnership with a number of GFSI private sector company members, such as Metro, Avon, Pick and Pay. Furthermore, UNIDO is an active partner to Global Food Safety Partnership since its inception. The organization is working closely with World Bank and GFSP partners such as Mars Incorporated, Waters, Food Industry Asia, and the U.S. Food Drug Administration to advance food safety collaboration. Earlier in June this year, UNIDO and the World Bank co-organized the strategy retreat of the GFSP in UNIDO headquarters to define 5 years strategy of the GFSP with active participation of all partners. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, to overcome global food safety challenges, we will need to bring together the public, private sector, academia, international organizations to deliver global solutions. And adequate response will require us to use the different strengths and expertise of each partner, from applying various instruments in regulation and research to better education and to use improved technology. I'm most satisfied to see the high-level participation of regulatory bodies, important private sector players, international agencies, and development partners in this forum. And your expertise and the intent to share good practices will make this event a milestone in international cooperation on food safety. I wish to thank CFDA for their co-organizing and partnering with UNIDO to this first Vienna Food Safety Forum. This is a clear recognition of CFDA's commitment towards convening a global platform of food safety. UNIDO is proud to be a partner in this process, a step which will provide direction in our common endeavor to establish appropriate food safety measures. I wish to thank the Austrian authorities and the private sector representatives for their participation in the forum and their sharing of expertise and knowledge on food safety management in general and on dairy products in particular. Further, I wish to thank all international and national partners, participants, to make this truly global event on food safety. and its concrete application in different sectors. In conclusion, I wish you all a fruitful debate and discussion at the different sessions. Allow me to close with a quote from our Secretary General, Mr. Bakimong, made during the recent celebration of the 2015 World Health Day. I quote, "We all have a role to play in keeping food safe, from farm to plate and everywhere in between," unquote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director General, for your welcoming address. We are now honored to welcome our special guest, His Excellency Minister Bi Yingguang. Minister Bi Yingguang is Minister of the Food Safety Commission Office of the State Council, as well as Minister of the China Food and Drug Administration, CFDA. As a big country of food production and consumption, China is playing an increasingly important role in the field of global food safety. We are looking forward to the Minister's update on how China is moving forward establishing a state-of-the-art food safety system. Help me to welcome the Minister with a round of applause.
Director General, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I'm very pleased today to participate in this food safety forum. I'd like to thank the Director General for his opening speech. Mr. Wu Yong, when he was working with the Chinese government, we were very good friends. Today, Mr. Li, as the Director General of UNIDO, and we have now become very good partners. I'd like to thank the UNIDO, as well as its member states and relevant organizations, as well as private market, private enterprises. I would like to thank you all for your attendance here today. The mic is not on. The mic is off. I'm sorry. We can't. Okay. I'd like to thank your support for the Chinese food industry. Guaranteeing food safety is a challenge shared by all countries. The UN published 17 sustainable development goals, of which 2 are related to food safety. One is to eliminate hunger, to reach food safety, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agricultural development. Secondly, it is to ensure the quality of a healthy life so that people can live healthily. These are all our shared aspirations, and it is also a sacred duty on the shoulders of all food safety regulation departments. Food safety has a particular significance of China, and whereas we also face some challenges that are different for other countries. First of all, is in the question of sheer numbers. China accounts for the 22% of all the population in the world, whereas we only have 9% of the arable land. We produce grain up to 550 million tons, accounting for a quarter of the total global production. We have to use this very limited arable land to ensure that the 1.3 billion people can be fed. This is also a challenge that we cannot, the Chinese government cannot afford to be relaxed on. Secondly is the challenge of nutrition. As the industrialization progresses in China and urbanization progresses in China, the consumption structure has undergone a great change. If you compare it with 30 years ago, the average grains consumption has gone down by 40%, whereas of meat, eggs, and dairy product consumption has increased twofold. And also the use of edible plant oil has increased by threefold. In 2014, the total production of pigs, ox, and sheep, all these kind of meat reached 87 million tons. Eggs reached 29 million tons. Milk reached 37 million tons, and aquatic products reached 64.5 million tons. These food coming from animal production has increased a lot, which means that we need a lot of grain and also a lot of feed. So thirdly, we need to face the challenge of quality and safety. We have reached quite some good results with respect to quantity and nutrition. However, we have paid a high price for it. We consume about 35% of all the world's chemical fertilizers, 20% of all the insecticides. We have a lot of excessive residues in the use of these products in animal husbandry. And also it is the residues of insecticides in food is also something that has come into the awareness of people only in recent years. So there's a great gap that we have to fill with respect to insecticide and standards, as well as testing methods. Food safety in China also faced another challenge coming from industrialization, because industrialization has brought along the damage of environment. We consume about half of all the world's production of coal, steel, and cement, whereas we have enjoyed the fruits of industrialization, whereas we also suffer from the pollution of the waters and the atmosphere from mining, metallurgy, and waste gas. These pollutants, when they reach the ground, will also be transferred to our food. There is also another challenge of our food safety coming from the historical stage of our development, because 2/3 of the land in China is still cultivated by small farm holdings. Half of the pigs are raised by family farms. All these dispersed production holdings, if you have to ensure that they will have a correct understanding of the use of insecticides and veterinary medicine, it is a very difficult task to do. Over 11,000 food production enterprises, 80% are small workshops with only under 10 people staffing it. And there are also millions of little food stalls. And this also presents us with great challenges in food monitoring and regulation. We have recently, the Chinese government has adopted a series of measures, including formulation of the food safety law to increase our regulation of food safety. And we have also integrated and also consolidated the regulatory functions dispersed in different departments. We have taken a very strict stand with respect to non-compliance, and we are going forward in the correct and good direction. However, there is also still a great gap between what we can do and what the people aspire and expect from us. We realize that the biggest problem of food safety in China are chemical risks. That is to say, the excessive residues of veterinary medicine and insecticides in food, as well as excessive use of additives. When we compare these risks with biological risks and physical risks, chemical risks are really something which is even more serious, and people have come to realize that indeed it is a great hazard for people's health. We also realize that the insurance of food safety, and to ensure people's health, we have to attack it from the source of pollution. So we should solve the problem from the source, that is to say, agricultural production. And we should also speed up the modernization of agriculture. To ensure food safety, we have to start from the basis, that is to say, the residues of veterinary medicine as well as insecticides, the standardization as well as the testing methods, so that we can include all these risks into our regulations. We have also come to realize that we have to reinforce the sampling tests of food, especially in grain, vegetables, fruits, etc. We have to increase our work in the with respect to the residues in this food, whereas for eggs and aquatics and meat, we have to increase our work in the testing of residues of veterinary medicine, whereas in food processing, we have to increase tests on additives, so that we can ensure the safety of food for the population. We also realize that we have to establish a regular testing system covering all sorts of food processing, food sales, as well as food in restaurants, etc., so that the principal responsibilities of enterprises dealing with food should be ensured to ensure the pureness of food provided. We have to also to mobilize the community to get together for shared monitoring. We have to make public the information on testing, on investigations, which on one hand will protect the consumers' interests, but also establish the people's confidence in food safety. Food safety must be strictly applied, reinforced. There's no zero risks, but we have to ensure that we carry out zero tolerance. In April, we have revised our food safety law, which will be applied as from the 1st of October. We have to mete out strict sanctions, warnings to non-compliance. China is a big country with a big population, is a big food production as well as a food consumption and trade country. In 2014, we have exported nearly $60 billion of food, and we have imported about $90 billion US dollars worth of all kinds of food and raw materials. So first of all, ensuring food safety will require the international cooperation between industries and enterprises. In the globalized world today, all production, circulation, and consumption, all these chains have gone beyond the borders of all countries. Any problems that exist in any link will affect the whole chain. All the food processing enterprises should increase international cooperation and build up international food quality and safety management standards. Secondly, food safety should also require international cooperation in food technology. As technology develops, we also need such technologies to assure food safety, and that since technology is endless, our international cooperation should also be endless. We also need international cooperation among regulatory departments of all countries. Food safety is a matter that should be based on all specific situations of all countries, but it should also comply with shared regulations internationally. China now imports food from over 200 countries, and we also export food to over 210 countries. We are ready to learn from all countries with respect to the regulation for food safety, the legislation, standards, technical norms, and governance regulations, so that altogether we can share information on food safety. We can harmonize our technical standards and regulations and build up a good food safety platform. Ladies and gentlemen, UNIDO has always initiated a green industry, inclusive and sustainable development. And it is of great significance for the healthy development of food safety. The CFDA would like to thank the help given to us, and we are ready to further strengthen international cooperation in this field under the leadership of UNIDO, so that together we can increase food safety standards and regulation. Thank you.
Minister, thank you so much for such a rich address, enlightening us on so many aspects, so informative. You covered, I think, all aspects related to food safety in China. It was a very rich address. Thank you so much. So now we are very lucky to have Mr. Shen Gurul with us. He came all the way from Tokyo. He holds the position as Chief Supply Chain Management Officer at Aeon and is responsible for fresh food production there, with the mission of creating a safe food across all Asian markets. But today he is here in his capacity as Chairman of the Global Food Safety Initiative. Mr. Gurul has worked with UNIDO on the implementation of the GFSI protocol in Malaysia, and this is why we are very lucky to have him with us today, as he will bring a very special perspective. Thank you very much, Mr. Gurul.
I would first of all like to thank UNIDO for inviting the Global Food Safety Initiative GFSI delegation, made up of representatives from Aeon, China Resources Vanguard, Coca-Cola, Danone, Metro, and Nestlé, to join this very important and timely forum. Director General of UNIDO, Mr. Li Yong, this very event is very clear evidence that UNIDO is playing a key role in food safety and it is our honor and pleasure to be here. Your Excellency, Mr. Bi Jingchuan, Mr. Minister of China Food and Drug Administration, and the CFDA delegation, Your Excellency, Mr. Cheng Jingye, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of PR of China to the United Nations, dear representatives from World Bank, FAO, IAEA, Food and Agriculture Organization, WHO, government representatives and food safety regulatory bodies, GMA, academy, and last but not least, my colleagues from the private industry, from private food industry. It is an honor to be here because all of you are here for the very purpose of addressing the global governance of food regulatory systems and discussing and sharing showcases and the best practices from around the world. As you already know, food safety is a non-competitive issue and our goals are one. On a personal note, it's a great pleasure to be here because 7 years of my life, my early life, was spent here in Vienna studying at Vienna International School, which is very close by to this building. I spent 3 of those years in boarding school within Vienna, living away from my parents who were in Czechoslovakia. I remember coming to this building every 2 weeks to report on my life and getting my allowance, my pocket money, from a friend of my father. So this morning, going through the security really made me go through a time slip to 30 years ago. On a more serious note, Global Food Safety Initiative is an industry-driven initiative and platform which brings together retailers, manufacturers, food service companies, as well as international organizations, governments, academia, and service providers, namely stakeholders in food safety, covering basically the entire food chain. Our mission is to work together to achieve the goal of safe food for consumers everywhere. We operate under the Consumer Goods Forum, the world's largest consumer goods community with over 400 companies and a total turnover of 2.5 trillion euros. We appreciate a lot the fact that UNIDO has been cooperating with us as a partner since 2009, specifically in the design and implementation of the Global Markets Program, which we have jointly implemented very successfully in multiple countries such as Egypt, India, Malaysia, and Ukraine. I would like to thank Director General Leong for his team's excellent support and guidance for turning the program into a full-fledged food safety capacity building approach. GFSI and the Consumer Goods Forum are hoping to continue to enhance the collaboration with UNIDO, scale it up upon the ASEAN region and China based on the many success stories, including the UNIDO GFSI EON flagship project in Malaysia, where we have achieved a sustainable and solid foundation along with the Ministry of Trade, International Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Health in terms of commitment, human resource development, and a great example of successful public-private partnership. The Vienna Food Safety Initiative comes at a great timing because the CFDA is leading major reforms in China, and along with UNIDO, GFSI is ready to further speed up and support these reforms in order to fulfill our common goals and achieve similar success or even better success in one of the world's biggest food consumer and producer countries, China. The China local group has been established for a couple of years now and is working diligently to help strengthen this public-private partnership with the CFDA. Your Excellency, Mr. Bi Jingchuan, thank you very much for your great leadership. We look forward to working towards your goals. The GFSI will be holding the China Focus Day on the 3rd of November in Beijing, and I very much hope that as we are doing now today here in Vienna, we can take another step, share best practices, and show the world that we are moving forward. I would like to invite you all to this GFSI China Focus Day. Finally, I would like to wish you all a very fruitful event where we can share knowledge and best practices together. I'm today intending on getting more than just pocket fund money from my company. I'm intending on bringing back the collective power of all of you to achieve global food safety together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gürel, for bringing the private sector perspective into our discussion today. And with this, we're coming to the end of the opening session. Thank you, Director General, for your welcome remarks and highlighting the shared responsibility to tackle food safety challenges. A very special thanks to His Excellency Minister Bi Jingguang for having shared his views with us. We are delighted to receive such a strong support from CFDA and the other partners for UNIDO's sustainable development objectives. It was an honor to have all of you today, in particular the Minister, with us. We surely understand that Minister B and Director General have other commitments, and thank again for finding the time to be present at the Vienna Food Safety Forum. We will have a short break of 5 minutes, and we'll start our first technical session afterwards.